Hi, it's Amber. For most of my life, I thought asking questions was a bad thing. And I learned early that asking questions could make people angry with me. So I learned to be careful. I learned to keep some of the questions to myself. And I think over time, I started believing that maybe there was something wrong with me for being so curious. But something happened recently that made me look at this differently. In Sunday school class at church, we were talking about Job from the Old Testament. The teacher asked how Job was able to keep trusting God through all of his trials. And someone in the class said something that really stood out to me. She said that Job didn't stay quiet and hunker down. He had questions. He asked God questions. He kept learning. She said something like, he leaned into the questions. And that really stuck with me because I suddenly realized that maybe asking questions isn't a bad thing. Maybe being curious isn't something that I need to be ashamed of. Maybe God wants me to actually ask him questions. And that was a big realization for me because I have spent so much of my life afraid of people's reactions to my questions. When I was growing up, I was often made to feel like asking questions was a big problem. And later, I was sometimes told that I needed to ask more questions. But that's difficult to do when you've spent years learning that questions can make people angry. So I think I've carried that fear with me for a long time. But sitting in that Sunday school class, I started to see it differently. God isn't angry with me because I have questions. In fact, questions can be part of how I learn from him. Questions can lead me to search. They can lead me to pray. They can lead me to study. They can lead me to other people who know things that I don't know. And sometimes they can lead me to answers I never would have found if I had been too afraid to ask. And I also realized something else. If I ask someone a genuine question and they become upset with me, that doesn't mean automatically that I've done something wrong. They might not want to answer, and that's okay. They might misunderstand why I'm asking, and that's okay too. I don't have to take responsibility for someone else's reaction to my curiosity. I can ask respectfully, and I can listen. And if they don't want to answer, I can move on. But I don't have to stop being curious. I think this is one of the ways that I'm learning to come unto Christ. Not by pretending that I have everything figured out, but by being willing to say, I don't understand this. Can you teach me? And maybe that's something that other people need to hear too. If you spent your life feeling like you asked too many questions, if you've been made to feel foolish because of being curious, I want you to know that there is nothing wrong with wanting to understand. It's okay to ask. It's okay to wonder. And it's okay to seek. And sometimes the question you're afraid to ask may be the very thing that helps you learn something that God wants you to know. I'm still learning this myself, but I'm beginning to learn and believe that asking questions isn't a sign that my faith is weak. Sometimes asking questions is part of how my faith grows. Thank you for spending time with me today. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you next time.